Look at her. I would die for her. I would kill for her. Either way, what bliss. I'm Liam, he's Rob, and welcome to Take Goes Podcast. This week, we take a look back at one of the best cast movies of all time, a movie that, despite its troubled production and inconsistent script, remains one of the most watchable films of the 90s thanks to its sharp dialogue, fantastic score, amazing set design, wonderful cinematography, and yes, that cast. Honestly, I'm not sure if a narrative has ever been less important to my enjoyment of a movie. Not everything works in Barry Sonnenfeld's iconic 1991 interpretation of the Addams Family, but my days, I'd happily watch them doing their weekly shop. And for me, Rob, fundamentally, that is why this movie has lived on so long in the memory. You can see the troubled production on screen with the narrative, occasionally with the script. It's weird because it's got a clunky narrative, a wishy-washy script, but it also has amazing dialogue, which is a little bit odd. But fundamentally, the reason that this film still holds up 30, nearly 40, Jesus Christ, a long time ago, is that cast. It's Morticia, Gomez. They've absolutely nailed them. And for me, at least, I notice it even more so when I watch Wednesday, the TV show. Now, I'm a big fan of Wednesday, the TV show, and I think Jenna Ortega is perfectly cast as Wednesday Addams. But when you see the rest of the family, they're fine, but they are not Raul Julia. They are not Anjelica Huston. They're not even, Christopher Lloyd. I think he's the one that maybe goes under the radar the most. When I rewatched this, I was like, Christopher Lloyd is fantastic in this movie.
Christopher Lloyd's amazing. I mean, to the fact that did they just superimpose Christopher Lloyd's face on a different body? Because that
It's
dude
crazy, isn't it?
it is mad. I mean, he looks shorter, stocky, well, very stocky compared,
I
but
never
it is
thought about that.
insane.
He does look shorter.
Yeah,
He totally does.
yeah. Christopher Lloyd is a very tall man,
Yeah. And lean,
but
for sure.
yeah, and yeah, but it's short and so. I'm with you, right? I mean, we'll get into the trouble production. We'll get into like certain things that didn't working in this film.
Yeah.
But overall, the cast, I mean, I don't think there's many films anyway that you could say they perfectly nailed pretty much every one of the cast.
The only ones I come up to in terms of like a
Sorry,
comparison. Oh, sorry.
sorry. But the only thing is, and I have a Beverly Hills Cop 2 moment when I talk about the cast.
Of course, yeah.
Grandma, or
Mhm, mhm.
grandmother, or grandmama, whatever they called her.
Yeah.
To me, that was always Carol Kane,
Yeah, yeah. Got you.
who
Got you.
was from our circle, the fairy godmother in Scrooged, or one of like the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah.
Carol Kane to me, and probably because she says a lot more in two
Mhm.
than so I completely when I watch this thinking, fucking hell, have I seen a different film? And then I realized, no, Carol
Totally.
Kane was recast. But aside from Grandma, because I think Carol Kane is the better Grandma, the
I
rest
agree.
of the
I agree with
cast,
you.
are outstanding. Raul Julia is absolutely fantastic. His devotion towards uh,
Morticia.
Angelica Houston, Morticia, she's great. Angelica Houston is fantastic in this. She doesn't say a lot, and it's just
Yeah.
the look she gives, and it's the lighting and the camera work on her because she's
Yeah.
always in shadow with just a little bit of light going around her
Even
eyes.
the stuff they did with her eyes, where they kind of slightly lifted her eyes. And I had
Yeah,
never noticed it before, but it's only when doing the research I read that she really struggled with it. So she had two lines of tape on her eyes just to lift them up slightly upwards. Nowadays, you think you just do it with CG or whatever. And it's such a subtle adjustment. But it does make a difference because, as you say, so much of her performance is visual. It's her just lying there. Well, go, like the quote from the start, when he's just looking at her sleeping and you have that kind of noir style lighting across her eyes. You're just like, yeah, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And as I can't think of many casts which are back to front as perfectly cast as this one, basically. So the ones that stand out are like Pulp Fiction. A lot of people have Saving Private Ryan, but in terms of like early 2000s war movies, I've actually got the Green Mile. Green Mile, if you go back and look at the cast for that film, it is outrageous.
hang
No,
on.
sorry, not
Green
the
Mile.
war
That
movie. Sorry, Green Mile. That's also perfectly cast.
you're about Thin
The,
Red Line,
the Thin Red Line. I do apologize. I got the two mixed
different
up.
color.
Yeah, yeah, very much. I just got the colours mixed up. Green Mile belongs on the list, by the way. That's wonderfully cast as well. But The Thin Red Line is an amazingly cast movie. Glengarry Glen Ross, that's just throwing absolute
Yep.
ballers all up on the screen. Royal Tenenbaums, and I know you're not the biggest fan, but The Godfather's an obvious one. But I think for most of those films, the one thing I'll say across the board is that they're all fantastic films, and you've got a fantastic movie which is elevated by a very good cast. This movie, as far as I'm concerned, in many respects, is the cast. Like the
So,
film is fine, but it's the cast which drags it over the finish line.
so I agree with you on most of them, but I will say the
Mhm.
reason why I think this casting is spot on is
Yeah.
because this is pretty much from another media. This is already established. The Addams
Yeah.
family are
Yeah.
already established. So you
Mhm.
have to cast to an already established thing.
Mhm.
Godfather, you're not casting to. Glengarry Glen Ross, you are, kind of, because it
Mhm.
was a theatre play first.
But it would have had so many different productions with different
Yeah,
actors. So yeah.
but what I'm saying, but when it comes to they've pretty much nailed all of these actors for the characters they're meant to be portraying. We've
Yeah,
already
totally.
known. I mean, John Astin was Gomez. He was shorter, and I've always known. I haven't always known because this was the Gomez I've known, but since being an adult, you realize that Gomez is actually a short, stocky fella. He's well,
Well,
not
he is
stocky,
in nearly every
short.
other form,
Yeah,
yeah. In
yeah,
the cartoons, he was in the animated film from the early 2000s, I want to say,
yeah,
and certainly, obviously, played by Lewis Guzman in the Wednesday TV show. That Gomez is comic cartoon accurate,
yeah.
but to my mind, and maybe it is just an age thing, but when I think of Gomez,
You
I
think
think
Raul
of
Julia? Yeah,
100%, 100%. And I think the reason it's so important in this film for him to be so handsome and debonair is because, in many respects, the heartbeat of the film is that relationship between Raul Julia's Gomez and Morticia. And I just, because they're both so beautiful in it, you totally buy into the idea that they're just not just in love with each other, but just constantly on the verge of tearing each other's clothes off. Which this movie, again, this is a PG movie, and the tone is perfect because there are horror elements. There are a lot of hints at sex, specifically between Gomez and Morticia, but it always takes it right up to the line. It never feels weird. It never feels inappropriate. But at the same time, if you're watching it as an adult, you're like, well, I know exactly what they're getting up to on the side here, kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And it's a really tricky balancing act to get, but I think this movie absolutely nails it.
I'm totally agree with you. Like in regards to, I mean, there are tonal inconsistencies, but in regards to the love of these two and basically the flirtatious nature of them, but also their naivete compared to the rest of the world.
Oh,
Like
naivete. How very fancy of you,
naivete,
sir.
yeah. Compared to the rest of the world, like
100%, yeah.
like okay, they're dark. Their entire everything about them is dark.
Mhm.
So anything light to them is weird, but they don't see themselves as being different to the rest of the world. I
Yeah.
mean, to Gomez, the fact that I mean, the judge is pissed off that golf balls keep smashing his window. To Gomez, that's a game between the two of them.
Yeah, it's weird because again, it's that balancing act. It's like you get it. The two finest balancing acts in this movie, I think, are by Raul Julia as Gomez because he has to play both simultaneously. He's like a naive idiot, but
Yeah,
he's also debonair and slick. And at all times, he's somehow both things. And it's the same with Festa's performance, where for a large majority of the film, you never truly explained they never truly explain just how kind of confused or conflicted Fester actually is in terms of wait, am I Fester? Am I not Fester? Am I just, is this actually my mother? And the movie keeps until quite late into the film, it swings back and forth without ever overly explaining it. And it's all just in his performance, where every so often you see him just like have that little moment of doubt. It's like, wait a minute, did this happen before? Am I
you know,
Fester? And they always keep it somewhat ambiguous, which is fantastic.
do you know why that is? Because the
Yes,
original ending. So I'll get into it now. So
go
the
for it, of
original
course.
ending is
Mhm.
basically that he was going to be the imposter,
Yeah.
but then he's accepted by the rest of the
Mhm.
family. Like at the end, because he's turned on his mother, he's accepted by the rest of the family, but he is an imposter, which would give a decent credence to a sequel if the real Fester showed up. But that different, you got different Adams
Mhm.
Family sequel on that one. But a cast revolt led by Christina Ricci at 11
Yeah.
years old was like, no, the audience isn't going to believe this. They need like a proper ending. As you said, the back and forth. Is he? Isn't he? Is he? Isn't
Mhm.
he?
Mhm.
So they were like, oh no, we'll fit, and that's why you get that. And it did feel like a bit of a pasted on
Oh,
Halloween
the
episode
end.
ending. Yeah,
100%. 100%. I've never seen, if you ever have any doubt as to how unsure they were as to the clarity of the script, it is that last sequence where they literally just sit around as a family and explain exactly what has just happened. They're just like, they just sit around and go, oh, so what did just happen? Well, this is exactly what happened. He really is the real Fester. He was so just abandoned. He's had memory loss, because none of these things are explained, because like you said, halfway through, they fundamentally changed their mind. And if you stop and think about it, it's like the start of the film. If he's actually Fester, the whole film is predicated on the biggest coincidence of all time.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't the one driving going to the house. It was Tully getting in touch with Vanderslosh or whatever hell their name is.
Because he's rented, not rented. They're a loan shark, aren't they? They're a loan shark family. Exactly, he owes them money, so they rock up. What I love about that ending as well is that I'm pretty sure it was written on a post-it note by a disgruntled writer. We need an ending. We need an ending. Oh, fuck it. They can have these. It was lucky that you were hit by that lightning and you remembered that you were actually in the tuna net. Like, fucking hell.
It's so incredibly clumsy. And it doesn't actually even make sense, because I get it aesthetically. They wanted to move to Halloween because it's the Addams Family and stuff.
Yeah.
But the movie is actually set at Christmas. Like, the movie opens with, and it's such a bizarre opening shot, because I've never seen Christmas carolers look away from the house when they're Christmas caroling. It's clearly just for the aesthetic, but it doesn't work. And then at the end of the film, they say 7 months later, and it's Halloween. I'm like, wait, no, that's not 7 months later. That doesn't make any... I guess you could make the argument that, you know, the events of the movie happen over a series of months, but like everything else in this film, it all feels a little bit wishy-washy. And as soon as you stop and think about anything for longer than 5 minutes, yes, it kind of falls apart. But again, it doesn't matter. It's like with the sequel, they end up running back the Fester story ostensibly, because nobody really wants to mess with the core relationships in the family. It's like Gomez and Morticia. You think about like any family, like the obvious family TV show, which has been running for God knows how long. I immediately think of The Simpsons. How many times, and they even did it when they did the movie in like 2007 or whatever it is, they're just going to have a fallout between Homer and Marge again. In this, Gomez and Morticia are so in love, and so much of the time you spend with them is them just kind of fawning over each other. Nobody wants to see them falling out. Nobody. So they're just like, well, we can't do that. We just want to see Wednesday be Wednesday. So we're just going to have something around Fester again. And that's probably why they didn't make a third movie, because they're just like, we can't do the fucking Fester story again. This is getting ridiculous. But it works for this movie. But I'm very glad they didn't fall back on the cliche narrative that you usually get with a family kind of structure like this. Oh, the mum and dad are falling out, because they're not falling out in this film. They are madly in love.
Oh, they are fucking. Let's be
dude, they are fucking all the time. Anytime the camera isn't on them, they are having sex. And it speaks to like the whole idea that, like you said, we live it like, it's hard to get your head around what kind of universe this is, because you don't actually see a huge amount outside of the house. Certainly not for the first hour. It's nearly set entirely in the house for the first hour. But the rest of the world just kind of accepts them. Like, you know, there's a hand with an office job, a disembodied hand with an office job. And
the school just thinks they might be oddballs. I love it, like when the teacher's talking to her, like she's the nicest thing in the world, and she's like, little Susie Addams brought in a picture of George Bush and she brought in so-and-so Adams, the one woman burnt at the stake. And she's like, and Morticia just completely oblivious. It's like, oh, it's okay. We told her Wednesday, college first. Like before college first, before what? Before she gets burnt at the stake. But everyone like they're so oblivious to the world around them. And it's such a good tone in regards to you have this absolutely weird family, but the rest of the world think they're just odd, not macabre. But they are very macabre.
And it's almost like you get it, like a lot of films know to do this now, basically, where they're just like, wait, how to explain the fact that we've got a disembodied hand like running around? Like, aren't the rest of the world going to be like freaked out by this? And we're just like, just ignore it, just kind of just keep going on the basis that everybody accepts it. And the rest of the film, you know, people will just get on with it and we don't have to worry about it. And that's exactly what they do in this film. And it's all the better for it. And I love that, like, the easy comparison would be to something like a Tim Burton movie, like Edward Scissorhands, where the rest of the world, of course, it's a slightly heightened world, but in a completely different way. But they just kind of accept the supernatural element of this one building, this one family kind of thing.
If you would have asked me back in like late 90s, early 2000s, who directed the Addams Family, I would have told you Tim Burton.
Well, it was going to be. They asked Tim Burton, but he was busy directing Batman Returns, so he couldn't have done it. And obviously, he ended up running it back because he ended up directing the Wednesday TV show. They asked Terry Gilliam, which also feels like a pretty obvious choice in 1991, but he turned it down. So they've ended up going to Barry Sonnenfeld, which now sounds like it makes sense because we know him as the guy who did Men in Black, Wild Wild West, even Get Shorty is a movie that I love from the 90s. But he had never directed a movie before this. He was just a cinematographer. And you can see that in the movie. It's a gorgeously shot movie, if nothing else. But it was a big swing to let him direct this, relatively big budget movie. But he absolutely lands the plane. And it does explain one thing. What was the movie we were doing? Digstown, when we were saying in the early 90s, there were a bunch of posters where you just had motherfuckers leaning against each other. There was also a thing about font in the early 90s. And this movie, it just looks like Tim Burton font. But I was like, where else have I seen this kind of opening credit font before? And I was like, oh yeah, Men in Black has the exact, and I remember watching Men in Black when I was younger. And it was the first thing that jumped out. I don't know why it's stuck in my head. But when I watched it in the cinema, I was just like, why is Men in Black got like Tim Burton style font at the start of the film? And it's Addams Family font, and it's Barry Sonnenfeld again, so that explains that, I suppose. But
you choosing this film, there is one thing I can't forgive you for when choosing this film, and you've already mentioned him. Tully, Dan Hedaya.
He's great.
Right? He's great. He is absolutely great in this film as the long-suffering lawyer. He's lost all his clients. I mean, his wife's a bit of a Karen. Oh, all of that is great. But I can't forgive you for making me now come back into my memories Dan Hedaya's shoulder hair from Alien Resurrection.
That is, I'm not gonna lie, since you mentioned it, it's what I always think of now. As soon as I see him on screen, I just imagine him in a vest, which is disturbing, because he is maybe the hairiest man who's ever lived. I mean, he's good in this.
I get it, but like hairy chest, I get it, hairy back,
hairy everything.
He hasn't got hairy arms. He's just got hairy shoulders.
Yeah, but
the weirdest thing.
This might sound like we're like picking on him, or like this is a ridiculous thing to call out if you haven't seen Alien Resurrection. If you have seen Alien Resurrection, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. He has, if nothing else, the hairiest shoulders. And like you said,
I've got the picture to share. So when we release this episode, we're sharing the picture.
Definitely. Because, like you said, the rest of him, he's hairy enough, but it's so specifically his shoulders. Like the rest of him is like he's like a relatively, maybe even moderately hairy man, dark-haired man. His shoulders are that of a gorilla.
Yeah.
It's the only way to describe him. But yeah, I love, I mean, it leads to one of my favorite lines, dirty pool, old man. I like it.
Yes, yeah.
And that is, I'm not going to start quoting lines from this film, but believe me, I could. Like I said, the narrative, the script, it's very jumbled, very inconsistent, but my God, the dialogue is golden.
It's absolutely great. Like even the dialogue between the kids, because they're talking like 45-year-old people some of the times, with but they sound like kids. It's really, I can't even think of the words. I'm not going to try and keep going on about that. But what I love is the fact that they're doing all of this whilst torturing each other.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
she's
electrocuted. That is the storyline.
The game, we're going to play a game. Is there a god?
Yeah, it's a great game.
Morticia's about, like, come on, we got to go. Oh, but can we have 5 minutes? And Wednesday really wants to. And even Pugsley turns around, come on, Mum, can we? All right, you get electrocuted, it's fine. And like when she's chasing, or she's stalking Pugsley through the house, and she goes, is that for your brother? And she gives a knife, and you think, oh, well done, you've taken a knife away from her. No, you've given her a meat cleaver instead. Like, absolutely, like those two are great, because there's not a lot. There's not a lot with those two. I mean, there's a bit more with Wednesday in regards to she's questioning.
Well, she gets the second film, doesn't she?
Yeah. But she's questioning a lot of.
She has the kind of core relationship with, and that kind of
she's questioning the Bermuda Triangle stuff, isn't it? Because she doesn't believe what he's saying. Yeah. But they're put in the background, but their little snippets just come throughout the film now, where they're just like she's basically just torturing the fuck out of him. I think though the kid that played Pugsley, Jimmy Workman. I think he should have done a lot more. But bless him, he found his niche in film, because he only acted in 13 films, the last one being in 2005. But since 2009, that dude is part of the transportation department for Hollywood. He's been a driver in Star Trek. I started this like it was a list. Beverly Hills Cop, Axel
You really
Foley.
did. I
Like,
was expecting more of a list.
I thought it was gonna be more films that you know, but as I'm reading, like there's one on here called The Debt Collector 2, which I absolutely love because it's a
Of
Scott Adkins
course.
film.
Of
You
course you do.
haven't
Yeah, I
seen
have
it.
not seen the Debt Collector 2. No, I
Yeah.
have not. But he's a driver in the Debt Collector 2, yeah. So he's
He's
found
a
his
driver,
shtick
like
at
so, but
least.
so he's moving the equipment. He's not even on screen anymore now. But
Oh, he's just
yeah,
moving the equipment.
yeah,
So he's like a movie roadie, basically.
yeah. Sounds like yeah.
Which, I mean, if it's making a career from that's absolutely fantastic. Maybe he'll make a comeback on Wednesday, the TV show, because that seems to be one of the things they're doing with the show is bringing back the
I haven't
original
seen
crowd.
season 2 yet, so don't spoil. No spoilers for
Oh
season.
well, they've not bringing any like too many major characters back, but yeah, I wonder if this runs for like numerous years, if they'll eventually bring them all back. But he's
Yeah,
probably the least famous of the original cast. But it's only when you see a comparative cast you realize just how good Jimmy Workman was as Pugsley. The fact is, with the new TV show, I don't think the new Pugsley's is good. I think one of the biggest downgrades is actually Lurch. So in the
yeah.
original, it's Cyril Struyken, I think you pronounce his
Carol,
name.
Carol
Oh,
Stroiken.
Carol. Sorry, I read that wrong. Carol Strogan. He just looks like, again, when you think of Lurch, I just think of him. And you see Lurch in the new TV show, and he just looks like a tall guy having a bad day. Like he just doesn't have that same otherworldly vibe that
If
he
you were
does.
turning the Addams Family into a horror, do you know who would have been a better Lurch? Like taking nothing away from him, I think he's
Yeah, yeah,
great
yeah,
as
yeah.
Lurch. But the dad from People Under the Stairs.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
He'd have to wear pretty big shoes, I think. But yeah, he's pretty freaky, that's for damn sure.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like the one that stands out and the one the most obvious one to compare with the new cast is obviously Wednesday Addams, because whatever you might say about the rest of the cast, and I like Catherine Zeta-Jones, but the fact is she's no Anjelica Huston, despite the fact that she is Welsh, albeit a swan. Jennifer Ortega's obviously her interpretation of Wednesday has become incredibly famous. Is this cultural kind of touch point now for, I can imagine, for a generation. The difference between, and she is fantastic in that show. I think that's the only one where you could say, oh, is she better than Christina Ricci, who undoubtedly gave an iconic performance in 1991. The one thing Christina Ricci has, which I don't think Jenna Ortega has in the TV show, is that maniacal sense of genuine madness. Like when she looks like she's about to torture Pugsley, she looks like she's enjoying it. She does that wide-eyed, like, oh, she might actually be a psycho. Like Jenna Ortega's playing the kind of mythed goth version of that character, which is cool and works great for the TV show. You can't have her just being a psycho all the time. But this movie, because she's on screen less, and like you say, she's just coming in mostly for bits, I guess you would call them, it allows her to really be a genuine tiny little psycho. Although saying that, even though most of Pugsley's and Wednesday's interactions are just, oh, we're going to kill each other, they are actually heavily involved in the heart of the film, in so much of making Fester realize who he is. Because
So
instead of it being
they're the ones that kind of turn him.
absolutely,
Yeah.
it's not his relationship with Gomez, it's his relationship with the kids, which is just as like, I love, obviously, it, because this movie fundamentally, in terms of what works, is a movie about relationships. It's about Gomez and Morticia. It's about Gomez and Fester, but it's also about Fester and the kids specifically. And all of those relationships, because the cast is so fantastic, they all just work. So as to whether what they're doing in any given moment makes sense, you just don't really care, because you just enjoy watching all the stuff with Christopher Lloyd and Christina Ricci and obviously Jimmy Workman. It's so fucking charming. There's not a huge
It is
amount of it,
lovely.
but it's super
It's a
charming.
pity there's not more of it because
Yeah.
it's kind of shoehorned in. He's trying to find the vault. There's loads of stuff with Gomez, and then you get a real quick thing with the kids. Like he's turned them, and it's like they're learning their play. He's taught them how to do the blood and where to stab and all this stuff. And then the play happens, and there's no more with the kids. It's really quick. It's lovely, but it's super quick. You needed a bit more, I think, to
Yeah, I
turn
mean,
it.
it's quite a short movie. Again, was it like 98 minutes or something like that? And
Something
I
like that, yeah.
suspect there are additional scenes on the cutting room floor, which brings us
Oh,
to maybe
additional
the most
scenes.
famous, yeah, the most famous sequence in the film, because we watched slightly different movies. Now, I watched the theatrical cut, and on the theatrical cut, the mamushka sung by their Cossack brothers. Like, why is it their Cossack brothers? Cossacks are from Ukraine, but sure, we'll just go with it. It's an absolutely wonderful sequence. But due to test screenings, they cut that whole sequence back pretty considerably, because that was one of the big feedbacks. They were just like, they liked the mamushka, but it was just too long. So they basically cut it in half. You saw the uncut version with the full Mamushka, right?
Freaks me right out because I've seen this film a number of times, and I'm watching this film, and he says the mamushka, and then all of a sudden he starts singing. Now
Mhm.
I haven't seen this enough to know that to remember off the top of my head that that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, they've never sung before. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
So
there's as
I
soon
did.
as you sent me the clip, because you sent me the clip, and you can see like immediately even before they start singing, you see like little cutaways. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, this is different. None of that
Yeah.
is in the theatrical cut at
So
all.
I find this because I mean we've said it before. The Magic TV. I watched this on the Magic TV,
Mhm.
and basically I seem to just get these round. We did it. One of the most prevalent ones was Nightbreed. When we watched Nightbreed, I watched a completely
Yes,
different version to
yeah,
you, like a completely different version.
yeah,
And there's other films down the line where
yeah.
that's
We have
happened.
had a few where we've watched quite different movies. Solar
Yeah.
Babies may have been one. I can't remember.
No,
Anyway,
I think we both watched Solar Babies on Amazon Prime. So,
oh, okay, fair enough, fair enough.
but yeah, and to be fair, they did the right thing by cutting it out because Raul Julia, bless him, a fantastic actor, maybe not a singer. So
Fair enough. You've got that much
yeah,
charm, you can get away with it. But yeah, they obviously cut it for a reason. You know, when the test audience all come back and say it's a bit too long, and then you're coming
it
back and
wasn't so
saying
much
the same thing.
from what I read about that, it wasn't so much the length as it was. It kind of went on a different. You bring in this dark family, and all of a sudden you've got a musical number in the middle,
Mhm.
and it took them out of the film. And for this to take them out of this kind of film is
Mhm.
absolutely insane. But apparently that's what happened.
See, I loved it because, and again, I watched the theatrical cut, so it doesn't outstay its welcome, and it's just weird. But that is the whole point of this film. I mean, I never noticed before, for instance, that the tagline is absolutely perfect for this film. I'd never noticed on one of the posters before, but it's weird is relative. And it's one of those taglines, the more you think about it, the more perfect it is. And that fundamentally gets the point of the movie and the characters themselves. They were created to be the polar opposite of a classic suburban American family. And I love that because the idea of the opposite of a classic suburban American family is a family built around a husband who adores his wife and a wife that doesn't resent her husband and a family which absolutely adore each other. That's the complete opposite of a classic suburban American family. They're just like, well, how about we do it so like the mum and dad are genuinely love and the family all love each other. So yeah, that sounds good. And that is the thing. They are, for all the gothic macabre trimmings that surround this family, they are just sweethearts, all of them. Like that is fundamentally the character trait of every single one of them. They're all absolutely lovely. They're just a little bit weird, and that's it.
Hey, the mean girl from Addams Family Values is in this. I
Yeah, she's the one
completely.
selling the cookies, right?
She's the Girl Scout. So a
Didn't
completely
notice that
different
before.
actor, completely different character, but same actress, Mercedes
Mhm.
McNabb. But she was
Yeah,
Amanda Buckman in the
yeah, she's like
in
the
Addams Family
main
Values. Yeah.
evil Girl Scout in
I
the
wonder
second
if
one.
she
Oh,
got
whatever,
the yeah
not Girl
the
Scout.
count
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
camp council. I wonder if she got the role because of this.
Well, she is fantastic in that sequence, and she's
Yeah.
brilliant in this. I mean, this is one of those ones, kind of like a Lethal Weapon 1-2 situation, where I suspect if you asked 100 people which movie they preferred, you might actually get like a perfect 50-50 split between Addams Family and Addams Family Values. Now, in both those cases, whether it be Lethal Weapon or the Addams Family, I'm a big fan of the original. And similar, actually, if we're going to throw Tim Burton back in on this, Batman and Batman Returns. A lot of people prefer Batman Returns. In all three instances, I prefer the first film, but I wouldn't try and argue anyone down off a cliff if they were like, I prefer Lethal Weapon 2, Addams Family Values, and Batman Returns. They're all perfectly reasonable answers as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. I mean, for me, I think Addams Family over Values. I think Values goes a bit too uh, slapstick.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
stuff with the baby, the stuff with Joan Cusack's
I mean,
sister.
she is fantastic in
Oh,
it.
she's
I mean,
fantastic.
a
But
big. Let's be honest. A big in terms of whether you prefer the original or the sequel, a big part of it is how much do you love Wednesday? That's really the question. Because the narrative around the family, it's just the festive thing again. It's basically the same fucking story from what I remember. But the camp thing is what sets it apart for sure. Is you get little hints of the outside world. You get, like I said, not cousin it. No, it is
it's
Thing,
the
sorry, Thing
oh,
has the office job. Morticia works briefly in a school. You get
yeah.
them at the motel later in the film, but other than that, everything else is just is in the house.
I mean, how easy was it to hire somebody in the 90s to teach kids, apparently? Because when she's in the employment office, she said, okay, well, you're
Mhm.
a homemaker, you've got no skills, you've got nothing, you've been a mother for however long. Okay, you can teach kids.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what happened in the late 80s, early 90s. It was just like, oh, okay, well, we need someone, you'll do. It's like nowadays where you need all these, like, you know, all this additional education
And
and
this is why
references
our
and stuff.
generation specifically is fucked in the head.
We're not fucked in the head. I'd say we're
We
more
are,
level-headed, we're
dude.
more balanced.
I
I would
don't
say,
think so.
listen, you throw all these rules at people, eventually they don't know how to act without them. I think we're doing just fine. I think we're actually in the perfect one because I think it's maybe the Gen Z kids, the latchkey kids. We had a hint of that being Zennials rather than millennials. But I think because we've had a touch of both sides of the spectrum, I think we're probably pretty balanced.
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, brick walls, jumping off balconies,
Yeah, but
just
this is a Rob problem, not a generation problem. So yeah, you have to be careful with that. Here's a question for you because obviously we talk about his naivety and stuff like that, blah blah blah. But the reason everybody is so interested, and the reason the Addams family is allowed to get away with as much as they do, is because they're incredibly rich. I mean, the guy's basically got a canal under the house,
yeah,
and when Fester finally finds it down in their little buddy cave, he's got like legitimately a Smaug style collection
yeah,
of
yeah.
gold. Like it's outrageous. So I took a look online. I was like, is Gomez Addams like Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne rich? Now, they've Forbes did this. They estimated the Addams's net worth at 2.5 billion. And I was like, wow, that is a lot of goddamn money. Sadly, Tony Stark is in the 12 to 15 billion range, and supposedly Bruce Wayne is in the 100 billion, kind of one of the richest men in the world kind of range. So
Yeah.
the Addams are outrageously
So
rich, which
basically, what you're
explains a
saying is
lot.
they're rich, but they ain't fighting crime rich.
Exactly. But I do actually think it explains a lot about this movie in so much as like, why does everyone just kind of accept the Addams family the way that they are? And it's the reason that Tully puts up with them so much. It's just because people want to cut the pie. Everyone wants a slice of the pie. Everyone wants a bit of their money. So they just act cool about it because they're like, well, I want to be in with the fucking Addams. And they're just naive enough that they might actually give me some money. But as great as Tully is, I just want to be clear. I don't think he's really needed in the movie. I think it's one of those things you could totally
He's in
cut.
the movie to link Fester to them. That's
It
basically
is,
the
yeah,
only
that's
reason he's
it.
in the movie is to say, "Oh, you could be Fester." Okay,
Hmm,
that's
hmm.
great. Because I tell you what, I didn't get from the one I watched. Between them, there's you have the Mamushka because I went back and I watched your version and the theatrical cut version.
Hmm.
They start off the Mamushka, then they have Tully coming down the stairs. His missus goes, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'll be back in 20 minutes."
Hmm.
And then it goes back to the dance where the knives are being thrown at each other.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't get that Tully scene where
Oh, I
Tully says, I'll be
see. I
back.
see.
I go straight from the Mamushka to all of a sudden Tully knocking on the judge's door and saying, you give me 10 minutes and I'll make you very happy.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and all that stuff is massively underplayed. Like we complained the last couple of weeks with some of the movies we've covered that there's no threat. I think specifically for Teen Witch, for instance, where we're like, Teen Witch is a perfectly charming film, but there is no threat. This film has zero threat until they kind of force feed you a little bit towards the end of the film. But like so many things, it's so rushed. So all of a sudden, out of the blue, the family are kicked out of their house and they're living in a motel. That just leads to a handful of comedic sequences, the aforementioned Morticia at the school, the thing in the office job. And before you know it, they literally just drive back up to the house. Like they were locked out of the house. The second time they show up, they just stroll the fuck in. And let's be honest, everything's fine after that. Everything's fine.
Funny, because they're kicked out of the house. The stakes finally come in where they're kicked out of
Mhm.
the house with 20 minutes left to go on this film.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's
like you
ridiculous.
said, it's an hour and 38 minutes, or as I wrongly put it and freaked you out, 140 minutes. You in this film's 2 hours and 20 minutes? Oh,
Yeah,
no, no, I
yeah, yeah,
fucked that
yeah.
up.
I
No.
was like, my
Uh,
God, the director's cut is a very different beast.
yeah, it's legit. No, it's so, but there's like 20 minutes left, and now you finally get the stakes. And because there's 20 minutes left, you have to end the stakes quickly. And the
Mhm,
stakes get
mhm.
ended by Morticia going, well, he's having nightmares. Well, I love the nightmares, but I'm just going to come and see you anyway. And then she gets hung up on a rack. All of a sudden, Gomez shows up. The rest of the kids are just like still sleeping. Like Thing is sleeping on Pugsley, Pugsley sleeping on
Mhm,
Lurch,
mhm.
Lurch is sleeping on the floor. I actually thought that was quite
Yeah, I
nice.
thought it was quite cute as well. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just they really ended the stakes super quickly. And again, you're hinting at Fester's hero turn.
Mhm, mhm.
You're hinting at he wants to do it, but his mother pulls him back in. And then just really quickly, like it felt like such a turn on a dime.
It
When he
did,
said
and
that's
it's
the
a
wrong.
shame
Oh,
because
Jesus
for
Christ.
all the talk about the family getting kicked out of the house, that really is the second narrative of the film. The primary narrative, obviously, being is Fester really Fester and all that jazz. And for most of the film, they deal with it so well with that aforementioned ambiguity. But then when they decide, oh, we've got to wrap this up, like you said, it suddenly feels like an about turn out of nowhere because
Yeah.
if for like the longest time he feels totally conflicted, and then one time his mother, who is wonderfully played by oh Jesus Christ, what is her name? Um, Elizabeth Wilson as Greta Pinderschloss, which is a fantastic name in itself. She calls him like a dickhead one too many times, and then suddenly completely breaks, and everything's fine. I'm faster now. And of course, because it's such a rush, such a mess, that's why you have that tacked on scene at the end, which is so incredibly clumsy. And it's a shame that the ending is as clumsy as it is, because even from an aesthetic perspective, most of this film, for a film from 1991, looks wonderful because of the practical effects.
Aside from the Thing stuff, most of it looks
I
wonderful.
would even say
Agreed.
Thing, for the most part, looks okay. There are one or two moments which look a little bit rough, but for 1991, it looks pretty decent. The only thing that truly took me out of the film was when he opened the Hurricane book at the end and they
Yeah,
all
yeah.
start spinning around the room. I was just like, ah, that just looks a bit rubbish now. There's no escaping it. And it doesn't look rubbish in a charming way like some movies do when you go back to them. It just looks rubbish in a rubbish way, sadly. So yes, the movie does not land the plane, I think is fair to say, but the journey up to that point
Oh,
is
yeah,
so fun.
agreed, agreed. I again mentioning my age, a 42-year-old man. It took me longer in my life to understand what the term gaslighting means,
Mhm,
and gaslighting is so prevalent in this between Elizabeth Wilson's Abigail Craven or whatever her
mhm.
pretend doctor name is, and Gordon. She slaps him, and then in a millisecond of slapping him, she's putting him to her bosom and going, "Oh, Gordon, oh, I love you."
It's,
Fucking
I
hell,
mean,
man.
is there anything more evil on screen than a truly overbearing, manipulative mother? And she is absolutely bang. I mean, she's the real, obviously, villain of the film. Yeah, well, unquestionably, there is no other villain in this film. It is her. And she is brilliant at just being just the worst mother. And of course, she knows that that's not her son. She's just being manipulative to absolutely everyone, just
Yeah,
using him
I mean,
throughout.
the story was true from the tacked on ending. The story was
Mhm,
absolutely true. She did catch him, or not catch him. It wasn't her personally. He was found in a tuna net,
mhm, mhm.
but 25 years apart. He
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
found 25 years ago with amnesia. So
Mhm.
I don't know why she decided to just, oh, you know what, I'm going to adopt him and turn him into my muscle. But that's what she did.
That's what she did, yes. And she's paid the price for it because at the end, and I have to ask you, are Pinderschloss, as I'm calling her, and Tully dead at the end of the film? Because they get basically shot out of a cannon for all intents and purposes. They land in graves, get buried. I'm just like, wait, are they dead dead? Because they don't come back. And I
I,
tell you who's over the moon about it? Margaret. Because Margaret is fucking cousin it. In one of those sequences which shouldn't work, but by the end, Margaret and cousin it are so charming. And I never knew it was a dude because he
yeah,
calls him old man, cousin it, old man.
yeah.
It's like, okay, because he's got the squeaky voice and all the hair. I just kind of assumed cousin it was a woman, but it's a dude apparently. And that dude is totally. And I love what a pimp cousin it is because they have the party. Cousin it shows up, immediately starts hitting on a married woman with a husband at the party. He doesn't give a fuck. And by the end of the film, of course, he's absolutely named Margaret. And Margaret's over the moon about it because she can do so much better than. And she's used to the hair, obviously, because she was married to Tully. It's just the hair's more consistent now. So
I
why not
have
go with
to
cousin?
ask, as morbid, I'm just going to ask the dick, cousin it's dick.
Well, it's a legitimate question, I think.
Is
What's
is
going
it,
on underneath?
well, yeah, but is it also like, is it hairy?
See, I was always under the impression that that's the thing. I don't know what's in it. I don't think it's all hairy because I get the impression the hair's coming from the top and it's just
So you
going
think
down
if
on
you
all
move it,
sides.
it's just a
There's
normal man underneath? I don't think so.
no,
I think he's
but
an
that's
animal.
so. Is the voice because it's going through the hair muffled, like the kind of like beaker style voice,
I was going to say Beaker, yeah.
or is there a monster underneath? And the answer is I have no idea. I have no idea.
I can
Like I
tell you
said.
one thing. Cousin It was played by John Franklin,
Mhm,
who, as a man with short stature, played a lot of like because he was 32 years old when he played Cousin It.
mhm.
But we know him prevalently. Well, I do. I don't know if you've seen it. The original Children of the Corn film. with
Oh yeah, I saw it
with
donkeys
Linda
years
Hamilton.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but he's Isaac. He's the
Oh,
guy who
okay.
says, "I speak to he who walks behind the rose." Yeah. So he's the child leader of the
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
in the original Children of the Corn.
Well, yeah, you're not going to remember it from this, in fairness, because there's not much to give away who was playing Cousin Is, in fairness.
No. Apparently, technically, he's a human.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
He's entirely covered in long flowing hair from head to toe.
hmm
That's it. Like I said, but
Yeah,
he's
I
a
see. I'm
cousin to
thinking just
Gomez.
quite a short human who's just got hair coming from the top, which flows down. There's no suggestion the hair is coming from everywhere.
But
It
in
just
Adam's
looks like
Family
it's coming from
Values,
above.
they have a kid, and the kid is a baby
hmm
with a dummy in his mouth and hair from head to toe.
But again, you we're using the term hair head to toe, but really what it is hair from the head, which goes
Yeah,
from the
I
head
get what you
down
say,
to the
but
toe.
why would the baby who's just been born have
Well,
all that hair as well,
that's
unless
just
it
the
was an
thing because they're
animal?
monsters. So I don't think
Yeah.
they're animal. I just think they're weird humans, which like you get like a wolf boy. It's like that, but the hair is
A
just
wolf boy.
it's just immediately grows from birth or in the whatever, and it's just straight down top to bottom. So yeah, we'll just go with human, just with really long ass hair.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention just because like I mentioned the fact that when you're watching this film, there isn't a great deal to place it in the 90s. For the most part, you're like, oh, it's got like a certain like timeless appeal to it. And then all of a sudden, Sally Jesse Raphael pops up. And for
Yeah.
those, younger listeners, talk shows were fucking huge in the 90s. When I was growing up, man, there was like, what was it, Trisha, Ricky Lake. Remember Maury Povich used to do like
Mary Povich,
really
yeah.
weird, yeah, his show was bizarre. But
Who
Sally
was the
Jesse
talk show host who made a whole thing? I mean, maybe it was Mary Povich. One of them made a big thing about unlocking. What was it talk show host? Unlocking Al Capone's vault, his secret
Oh, I
vault.
can't remember that. I
And
know
then they
Mount Povich used to have like really weird. It felt like quite manipulative, if truth be told, but that was his whole shtick.
it was a whole episode
hmm
uh about unlocking his secret vault. What are you going to find in his vault? We finally found his vault. We're going to unlock it. We're going to do it live on TV, and it was empty.
Of course.
Geraldo
Oh,
Rivera.
yeah, I remember Geraldo as well.
Yeah,
He was less
yeah,
famous over here. He was much bigger in America, in fairness.
yeah.
But Sally
After all the
Jessop
hype, the vault
Raphael.
was just empty. All they found in there was dirt and rubble.
But it's like those ghost shows. They do it every week. There's like 100 ghost shows. And we're going to go to the most haunted house in Britain and we're going to find go. And they all run round with the lights off and they do those kind of night camera things. Oh, I've heard a noise. I don't know why this accent. It's very strange. But it's the same thing in every show. They don't find shit. They don't film shit. They just get someone upstairs to bang. They all run around panicking and go, oh, I felt something. You didn't feel shit. You didn't feel shit.
There was that one, wasn't there? I can't remember. Like there was that ghost show where the guy was looking for like the wife of uh Nick Turpin or something like that,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
apparently he was meant to be channeling it, and all he kept saying was, "She wants dick. She wants dick." And
Fantastic. Well, some as we found out when we watched the Ghostbusters as kids, some ghosts just want
just want to
dick.
fuck. There's that film, isn't it? The Entity, where the poltergeist
Yeah,
has
yeah, yeah,
sex
yeah,
with the
yeah,
woman. Yeah,
yeah. And there's like the supernatural things, like It Follows. That was
yeah.
just all about like getting just nailing. So just nailing. What a weird way. What a crass way to put that.
The
But you
other
know
one
exactly what I mean.
was it High Spirits with Liam Neeson and Steve Guttenberg, where
Oh,
Liam Neeson played a farting ghost, and all he wanted to do was fuck in the shower.
a farting ghost fucking. That sounds like a hell of a movie. In fairness, a hell
You
of a
ever seen it?
movie. I've not seen that one. I know
You should
exactly
have it
what you
though.
mean. I
Oh,
know.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I've heard of the film. I've just never
yeah.
watched it. But that's the thing. When you hear about that, you're like, oh, the tone with some of these films is just completely off. The tone with this film, despite the fact, as we said, there's so much innuendo. It's not even innuendo. They're just talking clearly about sex, but because Gomez and Morticia are one of the best on-screen couples of all time, you just totally allow for it. Like nobody's hiding their kids from it. It's just like, oh, that's what mummy and daddy would look like if they were genuinely in love. Like when he shows up, like you said at the end, the only reason they put her on that rack is so that Gomez can show up and be like, oh yeah, yeah, I quite
Yeah,
like the look of
yeah,
that.
that's fun.
And
Yeah.
that's what the whole sequence becomes about. Instead of putting the emphasis, because that's the scene that leads up to Fester finally having his turn and deciding he's Fester or whatever, or just going with it. They kind of half explain it. The emphasis is on Gomez wanting to fuck Morticia on the rack. So all of a sudden, you just have like a couple of quick lines with Fester going, that should have been his big scene, but they're just like, nah, everybody just wants to see Morticia and Gomez talk about sex again. And that is the correct answer. That's exactly what I wanted to see. It's fantastic film. Fantastic film. Anything else to you wanted to cover before we move on to favorite
No,
scene?
I think we've pretty much I mean, this is the kind of film where you can't really delve deep into like a lot of the scenes because it's the same kind of thing over and over without touching on favorite scene or loves or anything like that. So we could
Yeah,
probably
and
move on and
as you said, the best of this film, unless we're kind of, because that's the thing, I don't want to tear this film to shreds because I enjoyed it so much. But if you start talking about the film, you are talking about the narrative, and that's when everything gets a little bit clunky. But at the same time, you keep coming back to that same, the kind of the well, the paint that glosses over everything. That's a horrible analogy, but you know what I'm trying to get for. It's just I don't care because the family are there, and I love watching them on screen. So I wish I hadn't started that sentence there. It was an absolute mess. But anyway, favorite scene. It might be the Mamushka, but the honest answer is any scene with Gomez or Morticia. Like literally any scene with those two just looking like they want to have sex on screen is just absolute gold as far as I'm concerned. So I'll go with that. Just every scene with Gomez and Morticia.
for me it's Hamlet going full gore. I just think that scene is fantastic. It captures the Addams Family ethos, celebrating the macabre with the elegance and flair. The contrast between the horrified normal parents and the proud Addams parents just
Mm-hmm.
clapping after
It is good.
everyone's soaked in blood. Uh, Christina Ricci's deadpan delivery and the over-the-top effects and the way she dies her death scene. It's such a good scene.
Oh, it's a fantastic. And actually, one of my other favorite scenes is when Gomez is playing with his trains. And it's actually Barry Sonnenfeld you see on the train.
On the train,
And
yeah.
you see and again, speaking of special effects, which have held up, he's on the train. And of course, he looks out the window and it's a giant maniacal Gomez head just looking in on the train going, well, it's not going to end well for you. But yeah, I could pick any number of scenes for this film, but I think you probably picked the right one, actually. The play is absolutely fantastic. And it's actually quite important for the story because it's when Fester starts to turn the corner and stuff as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll go with that one. In terms of loves and hates, my first love, and surprisingly, just the cast back to front, and that goes from Lurch to Gomez and everyone in between. Number two, fantastic set design. They don't overdo it. It's just a great looking movie. Although we are and this isn't a complaint. Another Amityville style house. Every haunted house just looks like the Amityville horror, and that's absolutely fine with me. And number three, we mentioned a couple times, the tone is perfect. Dark and macabre and yet family friendly as it should be. It totally walks that line, and I don't think anybody is underserved in any way. And number four, quickly, just some great dialogue, especially Gomez and Morticia. So those are my loves.
For me, the iconic performance and casting, like you said, Anjelica Huston, Raul Julia are fantastic. Christina Ricci's Wednesday, she became an instant cult icon. Her deadpan delivery is amazing. The chemistry between the whole core cast, it just made the family feel oddly wholesome, despite the fact that they're psychotic.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah, totally.
it's great. Uh, Two, the immersive world building, from the haunted mansion to the trapdoors, the torture devices. The whole gothic detail looked great. The dark twist with the Christmas carolers at the beginning, pouring oil on them, I think is is funny. Uh, and three, the dark humor with the heart. It balanced the morbid jokes with a genuine warmth and family loyalty. That joke with the Girl Scout, if the cookies are made from real Girl Scouts, because she's going on about the whole lemon thing, I think it's great. It poked fun at the mainstream values, whilst, as you've already said, while celebrating the weird and unconventional. And just yeah, the whole dark humor I thought was pretty much on
Yeah,
point.
it's
Yeah,
perfect. They always know when to cut away because, like you said, if you stop and think about it, like we said with Tully and Pinderslot, it's a great scene. It works as a visual gag. If you stop and think about it, like, wait, so are they dead? And like you said, the start with the Christmas carolers, of course, it's all fun and games. If they showed you them actually pouring the hot oil onto the Christmas carols, it'd be horrendous.
yeah,
But instead, they just implied that might happen. But they also do that thing of like, oh, everything's fine. It's like I'm not sure if you've ever watched. They do clip shows on TV. They've
yeah.
been doing for years. Like over in the UK, it was always Mr. Beadle, wasn't it?
Oh, Jeremy Beadle,
Jeremy
you've been
Beadle,
framed.
Mr. Beadle, Jeremy
You've
Beadle.
been
Yeah,
framed.
yeah, you've been framed, stuff like that, where people would send in their home videos. Now, Mr. T did one a few years ago, but he did one for like all the videos were sent from Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, every episode would have a clip where you're like, that dude died for sure. And they knew it on the show, but every time they just get Mr. T to go, just at the end of the clip, go, he's okay though. And it's just like, it would just totally diffuse it because you watch it and you'd be like, did I just watch a guy die? But then Mr. T just comes on, he's okay though. And I'm just like, he's probably okay, Mr. T said. Because
He said it's fine.
it's totally different watching someone where, you watch people die in movies all the time, but when you think somebody might have actually died, it suddenly becomes a weird experience. Like, sorry, I'm going down a bit of a rabbit hole here, but did you ever watch the documentary The Bridge? It's based on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and it's because like a huge number of people commit suicide on that bridge every year. And the opening sequence is just a long shot, and they just kept a camera on the bridge for like a whole year, and just it's well off in the distance, but in the distance you just see this little boop, come off the bridge, and it suddenly dawns on you just watched somebody kill themselves. And it's like, obviously, you can hardly see it. It's just a little dot in the future. But it's like that weird thing. It's just like, wait, did I just watch someone just die on screen? It's bizarre. I needed Mr. T in that moment. Just go, he's okay though. Oh, thank God. Thank God, Mr. T. So it's okay. Anyway, aside complete. Hates the script is a bit of a mess. I mean, I really enjoy this movie, but the script is a bit of a mess. Some of the effects towards the end are a tad wonky, to say the least. As we mentioned, the Hurricane book in particular. And number 3, do we need Tully and Pintersloss? We need one of them, but I'm saying that if you don't have Tully, you don't have Margaret, and if you don't have Margaret, you don't have Margaret's love affair with Cousin It. So
Pintershot would know about the whole Cousin It Festa thing if that was the thing. You kind of do need them both, like because Tully is the inside man, and
Tully could just be a scene, though, couldn't he? He could just he could just be like a side
Tully
character.
Could be gone. You don't need Tully after that, but then you don't get the whole Cousin It stealing the wife away kind of stuff. So.
I think it's one of those ones because Dan Hedaya is so memorable on screen. They're like, if we've got Dan Hedaya as Tully, we need him in more scenes. But it's a minor gripe, to be honest. The real issue is that last sequence of the film when they're all sitting down explaining the film. You're like, oh yeah, something hasn't worked if you haven't do this. Jesus Christ. So anyway, those are my hates.
Cool. For me, the thin plot and the pacing issues, I don't know, just like you said, it just sometimes it dragged, especially like around about the middle, and then it stalled, and then all of a sudden you got the end. It was absolutely weird. Number 2, then the underused supporting characters. So Lurch, Grandmama, Cousin It, relegated to the background gags, and finally 3, missed opportunities with Thing. You could have had so many jokes with Thing, the whole hand, but instead what you got was just a lot of sped up scenes of him just basically running. The only good one was when he's given his like he's saying Morticia's been kidnapped and he's trying to do the sign language. He's going slow down. He does the Morse code, and I thought that was good. But the rest of it, they missed quite a bit with it.
I wonder if, to an extent, they were limited by the effects of the time and time machines and stuff
do
like
think.
that.
I mean, this is hindsight. This is like you said, nearly 40 years. 30 years.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So,
but no, I know what you mean. Any alternative titles for this film?
Not many, to be fair.
I'd be amazed if there were any. I'd be surprised. I guess it's going to be the usual Addams Family colon nonsense.
I do think it's not there's no colon thing. I just think it's translation issues with a couple of them. So I'll go down anyway. But I mean, Argentina, the Addams brothers.
Yeah, that does kind of work because that's the kind of core of the story, I suppose.
Austria, there's got to be a translation issue with the word "the" because it's just by Addams Family.
Yeah, well, die is German, I guess, for the. So I'm not sure about other languages, but
yeah. What else have we got here? Got to go down quite a lot. Kazakhstan, Adamic family.
Oh, I like the idea. It's like nobody in Kazakhstan is called Adams, but I know many Adamics, so Adamic's family it is.
Yep. Taiwan, the Ada clan.
Sure.
Probably again. That's it, really. Like I said, there's not many. I mean, the Addams family. You can't really change it, can you? Their name are Adams, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm surprised there are any, to be honest. Any facts for this film?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there are loads. I know there are loads.
Yeah. After the movie premiered, children would frequently recognize Raul Julia as Gomez Addams out in public, which, according to him, always brought a smile to his face. Julia stated that Gomez Addams was by far his favorite role, and his family said the recognition was especially meaningful to him in the final months of his life because he loved performing for children and making them happy whenever the opportunity presented itself. To me, it was such a tonal shift because the first thing I ever watched him in was this. The first time I ever saw Raul Julia was this.
Same here.
As I started to get into like a bunch of action stuff, well, no, I was already into action stuff by then, but as I was going deeper into the whole action of the 80s and the 90s, I saw a film called The Rookie with Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Where Raul Julia plays the bad guy. Fuck me, what a tonal shift, as I've just said. It's insane to watch him just be just a complete and utter asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's odd because obviously he's the big bad guy in Street Fighter as M. Bison, but
yeah,
it's such a theatrical performance that it doesn't feel so far removed from this. This performance, if nothing else, is wonderfully theatrical. So to see him playing like a dark and gritty bad guy, yeah, it just doesn't seem to make sense because for a generation of people, like Raul Julia is so intrinsically linked to this role specifically. I
yeah,
just think of him as Gomez Adams.
yeah. Agreed. According to Anjelica Huston, Christina Ricci came up with the Wednesday sleeping position with her arms folded across her chest. My wife loved seeing that position because she brought up the fact that that's how I sleep every now and then. And when I disagreed with her, she showed me the pictures. Apparently, I sleep like a fucking vampire.
That is fantastic. That is, although my wife wouldn't mind that because it means I'm keeping my hands to myself. So there is that.
So I sleep like a vampire and you become Uncle Touchy. Is that what you're saying?
I was making a joke. I mean, we've got a very large bed, and I sleep miles away from her. But if I go anywhere near her, she starts complaining. And it's because she's covered in cats. Like the
Okay.
cats just
Yeah.
all sleep on her side of the bed, so it's just like she doesn't even need sneaking over there. So
The name Wednesday is a reference to the line in the Mother Goose poem that goes, Wednesday's child is full of woe.
oh, nice.
The exterior of the Addams house was built for $100,000.
Yeah, most of the film was shot on sets.
Yeah. In the Addams Family 1964 TV show, the Adamses had a pet lion named Kitty. Though Kitty doesn't appear in this movie, you can hear Gomez cracking the whip and saying "Down, Kitty"
Oh,
when
that's
he
cool.
goes into the vault early on.
Mhm,
So.
mhm.
Again, in the Addams Family 1964, Grandmama was Gomez's mother and her name was Eudora Adams. In the movie, she is Morticia's mother and her name was changed to Esmeralda Frump. This
Hell of a
provided a
name.
joke for the Addams Family musical. Morticia, angry at Gomez, brings up the time his mother came to visit for a week and she's still here. Living in the attic, Gomez responds, My mother, I thought she was your mother. Okay.
Which makes things quite weird. Yeah,
Yeah. Wednesday's middle name is Friday, making her full name Wednesday Friday Adams.
nice.
Early makeup designs for Gomez included dark circles around his eyes, similar to Festa's. This was eliminated before filming, but can still be seen on the film's posters and other publicity material.
Glad they kept away with it. I love the fact that he's just so outrageously handsome and debonair. To be honest, I want to dress like him as well. His pajamas, everything, every outfit he wears, I'm just like, that guy just looks the business.
Bruno Kirby offered his fat suit from The Godfather Part 2 to Christopher Lloyd in order to play Uncle Fester.
Nice.
At an auction, Morticia and Gomez outbid each other for an item they themselves donated, just like in Morticia's favorite charity. Oh, that's a film, by the way. Morticia's favorite charity.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Should I act like it doesn't make sense?
No.
Oh, fair enough.
The Addams Family car is a 1932 Packard Twin Six.
It's a very cool car.
Yeah. One of the markers in the graveyard is for Ansel Adams, a homonym of the famous photographer Ansel Adams. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, we could. Anthony Hopkins turned down the role of Uncle Fester. Cher wanted to play the role of Morticia. Olivia Hussey was also briefly considered.
That
Cher and
is
Christina Ricci worked together in the previous Mermaids. Yeah.
That's a genuinely interesting what if. I was like, I can't imagine anyone else playing Morticia. And then when I read Cher was interested, I was just like, oh, I bet you Cher would have been good. I bet you Cher would have been good. Like 1991 Cher, she would have knocked out the park. The obvious other fact for this film is Orion. They were the publisher of this, basically the owners of the IP at the time. So Orion were making this movie, and but they were already due to like a handful of flops back to back. They were struggling financially, and this film cost 20 at a budget of 25 million, and but due to the production issues we already mentioned, it was going 5 million over budget, and because it was due to come out on the same day as Steven Spielberg's Hook, they were genuinely concerned. It's like, we can't afford another flop. They were just like, this is going to flop hard, so they sold the domestic rights to Paramount. And they had already sold the international rights to Columbia. So this film eventually ends up costing 30 million. It made 191 million, of which 113.5 was domestic. So they sold over the rights to Paramount, and Paramount went just absolute gangbusters. So Orion, who could have really done with the money, was just sitting on a gold mine with the Addams Family, and they fucking sold it to Paramount and just lost all the money. So I'm pretty sure whoever made that deal at Orion was duly shot out of a fucking cannon. It's not quite selling the toy rights and the merchandising rights to George Lucas for Star Wars, but it's pretty damn bad in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, Orion had absolutely no confidence in the Addams Family whatsoever. Sold it on, made a huge amount of money, and it's not one of those things we've really mentioned. Wednesday has obviously become this cultural phenomenon. In 1991, this did feel like a cultural phenomenon. There's a reason, and you mentioned earlier, there's a reason the first kind of legacy character in the Wednesday TV show was Christina Ricci. It's not just because she played Wednesday, it's because Wednesday in particular became a cultural icon in 1991. It's why the sequel is largely based around the character. But the Addams Family were absolutely massive in the early 90s. And a big part of that, of course, one of the things we've not mentioned, was down to the MC Hammer song, The Addams Groove, which is absolutely peak movie tie-in. Now, if you haven't seen the music video, I do apologize if I'm jumping in on things, but they at the cinemas they played the full video for MC Hammer's Addams Groove before the movie, which is fucking bananas. And when you see it is that wonderfully 90s throwback where the music video, of course you see MC Hammer, but they've got all the casting to make cameos in the music video, and then the other half of the music video is just the movie. It's just clips from the movie, and I miss them so much. Those real true movie times where you just see like 2.5 minutes of the movie before it comes out just in music video form. But that has just absolutely disappeared. But yeah, 1991 absolutely peak. And it's a shame because the song is shit, but the score by Mark Shaman is fantastic, but the song is terrible.
Shut up.
What do you mean shut up? What do you want to say? Go on then. I'll be quiet now for the rest of it. I guess every fucking week I get told to shut up when I'm talking.
You've literally just jumped up. The main theme, written and performed by MC Hammer, won a Razzie Award in the character of Worst Original Song because it was shit. I was literally about to type that when you said the movie's terrible, by the way. The song's terrible, by the way.
It is bad.
Your mind working every time you go on. I need to go past the Orion one now because you brought that one up. What else have I got here? I did have others. Kim Basinger was originally going to play Morticia, but then she dropped out to do a working man.
No, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she would have worked in the same way that I'm not convinced Catherine Zeta-Jones works. Maybe she would have, but maybe it's just because it's hard to see past Anjelica Huston there.
Yeah. And just because we've already done it on this podcast, and it's 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier in the same year, 1991, Addams Family and Toy Soldiers were both released. Toy Soldiers starring Sean Astin and Keith Coogan. Sean Astin is the son of the original Gomez, John Astin, while Keith Coogan is the grandson of the original Fester, Jackie Coogan.
I was not expecting a link to Toy Soldiers on this podcast at all. But if you haven't listened to it, by the way, this is like a weird plug, but we covered Toy Soldiers on the podcast a few months ago. Totally worth watching. A movie which absolutely passed me by. This is one of those ones you kind of set me straight on because I'd never seen it, or I think I'd seen the poster or something like that. But yeah, surprisingly good movie. I still think the title is terrible, but it is what it is.
I'll end it one more. Just cool. As a guess for you, this is the second comedy that Christopher Lloyd was in that was released in 1991. Can you name the other comedy from 1991?
Christopher Lloyd in 1991.
And if you get it, Jesus Christ.
No, I mean, I'm immediately. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was 89, wasn't it? So it was before then. Sorry, after then, obviously. No, I haven't got it.
Suburban Commando.
Oh, of course he was in. He was the
long-suffering father who put the outfit on and was kidnapped by, of all people, and the Undertaker, wasn't it?
Of course, the Undertaker was in it, wasn't he? Jesus Christ! Yeah, that would. I wouldn't have got that one, but I should have because I'm fully aware that he was in that movie.
Right, you can stop shutting up now. You can move on to the next.
Fair enough. Hug to Future. This is where we ask question: remake, sequel, Let It Die, or Leave Well Alone. It's a tricky one because the cast is so perfect. My immediate reaction is just Leave Well Alone. But obviously they've kind of brought it back and very successfully with the TV show. The fact that the emphasis is on Wednesday means that her casting is ultimately the important one, which they nailed. I don't think the rest of the family, holds a candle to the 1991 cast, but it's fine. But I guess the question is, would you want to see, say, because Wednesday's been such a big hit, is the obvious thing to do after Wednesday is to do the Addams Family and to have the whole cast together and do it in the house, the full works, I guess.
So, I mean, if we're talking about the 1991 Addams Family, I'd leave it alone. But
Mhm.
you brought an interesting point up last week when you said about recasting Digstown, and I thought, well, definitely going to talk about recasting
Mhm.
the Addams Family. So I've thought about the recasting for this, and I'm trying to take because you said they nailed it with Jenna Ortega, so I'm
Mhm.
taking Jenna Ortega out of the mix. If you
Mhm.
recast for the film,
Mhm.
Jenna Ortega will be the perfect Wednesday, but let's just take the what my choice for her with a pinch of salt if we're not
Okay.
thinking about Jen. So for Gomez Adams, I would probably have gone with Oscar Isaac. I mean, he's already nailed the voice in the animated versions, but I think he'd be perfect as the live action.
Mhm. Mhm.
Morticia
Mhm.
Adams, I think Eva Green. I think Eva Green would be great. She's
Yeah,
already
even
done anyway.
that's perfect. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is perfect.
So for Wednesday, I would have gone Rachel Ziegler instead of Jenna Ortega. I think Rachel Ziegler would be
Yeah,
great,
yeah, it's a
but
good shout.
I think Jenna Ortega was, like you said, is the perfect one. Pugsley Adams, Griffin Davis. The reason why I picked him was because he's just got that again naivete the Pugsley has, but it's
Yeah.
the kid from Jojo Rabbit.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, I had
Yeah,
to look
yeah,
him up. Yeah, he's got that kind of wide-eyed. But also, if you put like immediately when I googled him, one of the pictures of him is in black and white, and he does look oddly gothic and weird in it.
yeah,
And yeah, he'd
yeah.
probably be perfect for it. Yeah, it's a good
Uh,
shout.
I've gone so like a mad wildcard choice with Fester. I mean, if you're
Mhm.
going comedy wise, yeah, all right, you get Jack Black to overact Fester,
It's a
blah
bit
blah
too
blah.
much, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Dano, I think as
Yeah.
Fester would be
Well, the
great.
thing is, you don't, I mean, as they've proven with Christopher Lloyd, you don't have to worry about his height or his build because they're obviously, yeah, Paul Dano's a
Yeah,
super weird cat. And
yeah,
yeah, I could totally see him as Fester. So I think, put it this way, I prefer your cast over the cast for Wednesday, the TV show,
yeah.
without question.
Uh, Grandmama Miriam Margolyes.
Who's that? Miriam
Oh, you know
Margolyes.
Miriam Margolyes. She's famous in not our circle in the
I'm sure.
UK.
Hmm.
You know her if you saw her. She's the one who can't control her language when she's on TV or
Oh,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah,
She
yeah. She's
actually
a
looks. This is going to sound a little bit mean, but if you're going to like gender swap Festa, she has like a
yeah,
certain
yeah,
Festa vibe
yeah.
to her as well. There's no two ways
But I
about
love it
it.
because she's unfiltered. She's hilarious. She's totally unpredictable. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think she'd ad lib some stuff. And I mean, if you're gonna pick Lurch this day and age with CGI and shit like that, it'd be Doug Jones.
Hmm. Hmm.
They just
Hmm.
turned Doug Jones into Lurch.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I think Lurch in particular, like with the new TV show, it's just like he just looks tall. Like, what the fuck's going on? I don't know. It just feels like a missed opportunity compared to the
So you really
cinematic
put
one.
me on the spot last week at Digstown, where I could. So I thought, no, I'm gonna take some
You've
time
done
this
the
week.
work. Yeah, yeah, and some good choices there. I quite like them
Yeah,
actually. Because that was the thing when you started saying, I was like, oh, I'll push back on a few of these, but I was like, oh, I quite like all of them in fairness, so I'm willing to go with it. Make a change. I mean, it's easy. So this is where if you can make one change to make the movie better, it's tighten up the script. Like that is the answer, and you can tell by the end of the film that's what they needed to do.
yeah.
It's a bit of a mess. Yes, we get it. It had trouble production, but yeah, you've got to tighten up that script. So that's my
Uh,
change.
I totally agree with you. I put it down as like strengthen the plot.
Hmm.
Like give
Hmm.
Morticia and Gomez more dramatic stakes. You've already said that
Hmm.
towards the end. Like they just have quirky reactions. They don't have a stake. Festa's arc to explore the deeper themes of belonging and identity. I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
just needed like you said, am I, aren't I? Am I, aren't I? Well, originally I wasn't, but actually I am because lightning from a book struck my head.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
great.
I wouldn't be surprised again if some of it's on the cutting room floor because they've changed halfway through to decide, all right, he is going to be part of it. It is the real Festa. I bet you some of the stuff they were just watching and going, well, this just doesn't make sense anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. In terms of video games, there was an Addams Family video game made by Ocean Software and is released on everything. I always associate it with the Super NES, but it's on the Amiga, Game Boy, fucking Game Gear, Master System, the full works. But when I think of the Addams Family, I think of video games. Bizarrely, I always think of Festa's Quest, and I say bizarrely because I always just assumed it was based on the movie. It's not based on the movie. It was released in 1989, and funny enough, it was released by Orion because Orion, who we mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
they had the rights to it at the time, so they actually developed and published the game. And I think most people who grew up with a Nintendo will have the attachment to Festa's Quest instead of Addams Family, the video
I
game.
remember the artwork where he just got a spider on his head.
Well, that's the thing. If you go
Yeah.
back and look at the artwork, it's based on the TV show from the 60s. And I look at it now and I'm like, well, of course, that's not Christopher Lloyd at all. That's the Festus from the TV show. But it just never dawned on me when I was playing this when I was like fucking 8 years old. And of course, Addams Family was everywhere. I was aware back then that there was a TV show, but by the time I was playing the game, the movie was already out, and I just kind of mentally made that attachment. Well, obviously, it's about Fester from the TV show. Of course, I didn't stop to think. It's like, well, if the Addams Family movie has just come out, why would you just create a game called Fester's Quest rather than about the Addams Family? Well, it's because they didn't. That's exactly what they did. They created an Addams Family video game where you mostly jump around as Gomez. But yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, there was a game, but the one I ended up playing was Fester's Quest, but it's based on the TV show. If I were to get, if someone was to make an Addams Family video game today, for me, the obvious answer is Double Fine. It's something in a similar vein to Psychonauts, but based around the different aspects of the house, perhaps, or the different kind of mentalities of the characters. So you go in each, rather than kind of into the mind, as you do in Psychonauts, of different characters, you go into the minds of the different members of the Addams Family, and, it turns into a kind of action platformer of that style. So that's what I'd go for.
That's very different. I
Mm.
like that. I think you're going to win, but I went with Kill Monday Games' Little Misfortune.
Little Misfortune, a deep
Yeah,
cut, that's for sure.
it's it was 2019,
Mhm.
and it's just like it's a dark adventure. She's a morbidly curious girl navigating a twisted world. Like the humor just pitched back. It could just be Wednesday Addams going through the Addams world. I think
She
it
does. I
really,
mean, the character from Little Misfortune does have a kind of like Wednesday with a beret look about it.
yeah,
That's for
yeah.
sure.
If you ever had a chance to play it, I think it's great. It was like I think I remember playing it on like the PS4. It's not a long
Yeah,
game.
it's available on
It's like
everything. It's on
yeah,
Xbox and stuff, and
yeah.
yeah, it's like a little indie game. Whereas I guess what you would call Psychonauts, as it's made by Double Fine and they're a Microsoft studio, it's not quite triple A. It's more like an old school kind of like double A video game kind of thing. But it's
Yeah.
incredibly polished. Basically, I think I just want more games by Double Fine, and I just think aesthetically they've got the vibe right. But we'll see. But I think other those answers are perfectly suitable. Best and worst of IMDb. So this is where we pick a random 10-star and 1-star review for the movie. There's got to be a whole bunch of reviews for this one, right? 250.
I
Is
think.
in 250 written reviews for this movie.
Yeah. I think you're 233. You were close to.
Oh, it's pretty
Yeah.
close. Pretty close. This is where I fuck it. 10-star reviews. I think a lot of people might give this 10 stars. 77.
41.
Okay, I've gone a little bit overboard. Overcooked
So
it.
written in September 2005, titled "They're Funny and They're Zany." So here it is, a feature look into the lives of the ghoulish family that bears the name of their creator. In this case, Morticia and Gomez are raising their family when long-lost Uncle Fester rejoins the family. But there may be other people who want the Addams house. Most people don't seem to realize that the Addams family actually had some social commentary. Everyone outside the Addams house was Addams house considers them weird because they live differently. But they're actually a very loving family. As it was, the Addams family was always better than the Munsters. Cleverer and not as silly. But anyway, this is the feature, and it's one of the few TV to movie adaptations that got it right. I mean, that's just a terrible review anyway. But they give
It's
it 10
terrible review,
stars.
but at least I thought, as we've kind of run into this a few times, these things that it just turns into a synopsis. So they've gone a bit beyond that, but it does bring up an interesting point about comparing this with the Munsters, because obviously, they're TV shows from the '60s. I always, because we've got the subsequent movies and Wednesday, and it's lived on, in a more prevalent way in popular culture, the Addams Family was the more popular show, and that's just not true. The Munsters, and that's why it was initially a tough sell, because the Munsters were much more popular. And of course, with the Munsters, we end up getting the. I've got a bit of a soft spot. I'm going to be clear for the Rob Zombie movie, The
I haven't
Munsters.
seen it. I haven't. Is it any good?
Not really. Right. It's not a great film. It's got a couple of decent musical numbers in it, but it's quite charming. And I think part of it is my expectations were so low because I hate Rob Zombie as a director.
Yeah.
Hate him. But I do like the Munsters. And I was like, oh, I'll give this a go. The only thing I'll say is I think there's a black and white version. So the color aspect, and they made him shoot in color because he wanted to do it in black and white. The color doesn't quite work. I suspect this movie will look considerably better in black and white. So
Yeah.
if you can on your Magic TV watch the black and white version, that's what I would go
I'll give it
for.
a go.
But it's not terrible. It didn't get great reviews. It's not as good as the Addams Family, and it doesn't have anywhere near the budget, but it is oddly charming, which is a
The,
strange thing
la-
to say about a Rob Zombie film.
the last Munsters thing I ever remember watching was a pilot for a TV show, a film pilot for a
Mhm.
TV show that never materialized,
Mhm.
called Mockingbird Lane. Eddie
Jesus.
Izzard played grandpa or whatever,
Mhm,
the
mhm.
like vampire one. Jerry O'Connell, I remember, played Frank, the dad,
Okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
he was just Jerry O'Connell. That was the problem. He wasn't a Frankenstein. He was a Frankenstein
Kind.
inside only. He didn't have the
Oh,
bolt in his neck. He wasn't
yeah,
green.
yeah,
They were a normal family. Eddie was a werewolf, but he
yeah.
didn't look like a wolf. He every
Until he
now and then
turned into a wolf.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So they tried to make it more realistic, and it just didn't work.
No, so much of the monsters is the aesthetic. If you remove
Yeah,
the, I mean, talk about an ill-advised, kind of retelling of the story. That sounds like it. It's a shame because the cast actually sounds pretty cool, but yeah, ill-advised to say the least. So yeah, stick with the Rob Zombie movie. Something you won't hear me say very often. In terms of one-star movie reviews, now I don't want to say zero because that's a lot of reviews, 250.
you'd be close.
I can't imagine many people watch this film and go, "That's a one-star film." I'm going to go with three.
Oh, dude, two.
Oh, which
Yeah,
is too many in fairness, but yeah,
yeah.
let's hear at least one of these fucking lunatics tear Addams Family apart.
So he wasn't happy. So April 1999, titled "I thought this slop would never end."
Oof.
Yeah, I know. Who wrote this? I demand to know. This person should be ashamed. What a boring, pathetic mess. Lame jokes. Question mark. They abounded. Silly dialogue. Plenty. This was simply a bad piece of film work. There must be an audience for this drivel because it seems to be selling. What a world.
It seems to be selling. It sounds like he's writing it in like 1991. It's like
Yeah.
8 years later. Very, very strange. And a very strange review in fairness, but that's what I expect from a one-star review from the Addams Family. It's similar to the stuff we said about, was it maybe Digstown? When we reviewed that, the idea of somebody giving that a one-star review just seemed insane.
Yeah.
It's just like it's such a watchable film. You're not expecting everyone to love it, and this film has plenty of problems. But the idea that you could watch this and just be like, I fucking hate it, seems absolutely bananas. Which leads to our own ratings and recommendations. Mine is a 4 and a yes. Now, this is a 3-star movie with a 5-star cast. So I finished on 4 because I've seen this film a whole bunch of times and I enjoy watching it every single time, despite its myriad of problems. And as I said, it keeps coming back to the tone, the cast, the aesthetic. I just love all that stuff and I just like spending time with them. So yeah, 3-star movie, 5-star cast, 4-star watching experience for me. And yes, I would recommend.
Yeah. Basically, the same answers as you. The cast, the aesthetic, everything like
Mhm.
that is what pushes this to, for me, a 3.5.
That's fair enough.
Can't really give it a 4, but because you said that there is a myriad of problems. But all in all, I think it's a great film. It's a great watch. My wife wouldn't let me watch this on my own. I had to watch it with her.
Same with me. Same with me. Like how
Yeah.
many of these films we do for the podcast? And I'm like, oh, we're doing this on the podcast. Do you want to watch it? No, not really. As soon as I said Addams Family, she's like, yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
And 3.5 is probably, I unless I'm really just stuck, I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want to give half. So I want
No, I get it.
the correct answer is probably 3.5. But if it felt like one of those ones, I'm happier to round up than down. I'm like, oh, 3.5 sounds right, but I would never give this a 3. So I'm like, oh, in that case, I'm happy to give it a 4. But yeah, somewhere between 3.5 and 4 because of its structural problems, because of its narrative problems. It's far from a perfect film, but yeah, just a fun time basically, despite its problems, despite its
Yep.
issues. Yeah, so that's been 1991's Addams Family. Next week it's your choice, sir. What are you going for?
Well, I've been thinking about something we've talked about for a while now, and I'm biting the bullet, and we're going to do it. So the year is 1996.
1996. See, I'm assuming now, based on what you say, it's going to be something relatively obscure. So
I mean, I think it's in the zeitgeist, but I would say
I don't know
that
why the first thing that popped into my mind, and I'm not even sure if it is 1996, but 1996, I'm just like Broken Arrow, but I was like, we've covered Broken
we've
Arrow.
covered Broken Arrow, but it was
Um,
96 Broken Arrow, I believe. I think.
was Face Off 96 as well? I'm just picking
But
John Travolta
yeah.
films. John Travolta was big in 96. I bet you like Michael was fucking 1996 as well. It feels like 1996 was a year that John Travolta had like 8 movies out. I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna need a bit more than that. Unless of course John
No,
Travolta's in it.
he's not.
Okay.
The director is Simon Windsor.
Simon Windsor. Could you give me another film he's directed, just to give me a little
I
hint?
can indeed, and it's not going to help you. Quickly
Okay.
Down Under.
Quigley, I mean, I am aware of Quigley Down Under, but I can assure you, you are correct. That has not helped one bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not getting it.
Sorry, I'll give you one as soon as I tell you the main star. You'll get it. So I'll give you one of the sub stars.
Mhm.
Catherine Zeta.
Substars, is that what we're calling now?
Substars.
So supporting cast, yeah, substars.
Catherine Zeta-Jones, as we've already mentioned her a few times. With why not?
Catherine Zeta-Jones. So not what was the one she did with Sean Connery? It's not that obviously because that was a bit
Entrapment.
later.
Was it Entrapment?
Entrapment. It was
Yeah,
Entrapment. Yeah.
it's not Entrapment. I
Oh
would
wait,
never pick Entrapment, but I picked this film. That's what's
it's not a
insane.
superhero film, is it?
I mean, I'm giving you a look.
It, it- which one was she in? Was she in the Phantom? Oh,
Winner, winner.
oh, there we go. She was in the Phantom.
So I'm starting without discussing with you.
Yeah, I
I'm
was going to say this
starting.
is part of
Yeah,
a series now,
yeah.
obviously.
I am starting our lame superhero season. I'm gonna say superhero
And,
film season.
are we saying specifically? Because in my head, it's very much attached to the 90s. So late
Lame
90s super.
90s super. So there was a range from like 96,
Mhm.
possibly 96 to 97,
Yeah,
95 to 97.
yeah, I'd say
There
around
was a
there. Yeah.
run of bad superhero films. I'm not
Basically,
going to say the rest of the
everything.
names.
No, everything after Batman Returns and before Blade, there was like a whole mess of fucking stinkers,
Yeah.
real stinkers, but fun. And this is a perfect example. This film, I'm going to go on record now, and I've not seen it for a long time. It's not good.
Oh,
It's not fucking good.
the four that I believe we're going to talk about, because I don't know
Mhm,
your two, but I'm going to guess I know your two.
mhm, mhm.
Of the four we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
none of them are good. There
No,
may
no,
be one
that's part of
like
the point. Yeah, yeah.
so good in different reasons. I still
Mhm.
enjoy these films. I have fun with these films. They are, for all intents and purposes, terrible films.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's the thing, though. Like, there are films which are bad, but are fun. Like, and I know we had different response, and so much of it is like a personal thing when you're talking about bad films in particular. But it's like we did Teen Witch, and like it's a bad film. We both agree it's a bad film,
oh yes,
unequivocally.
yes, yes.
But I really enjoyed watching it, but you hated it. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing with these films when we cover them, is that especially because, like I said, and I don't want to start listing these films because a lot of them are going to be the ones we're covering over the next few weeks. But we agree they're all bad. But I bet you there's almost going to be like a 50-50 split between, oh, that was bad, but I really enjoyed it. And that was bad, and it was bad. Like you've got a real soft spot for Hudson Hawk, for instance, a film
Yes,
which
yes.
is, I think we
That's
both
terrible.
agreed
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
it's
terrible film.
terrible.
But you've got like there's something about it where you watch it and go, yeah, it's terrible, but I enjoy watching it. Whereas I was the opposite for that one, where I just fucking hated it. I couldn't stand anything. I couldn't take any joy out of Hudson Hawk. I just despised it. And I think we're going to get that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're inconsistent amongst
Oh, I
ourselves, where
totally agree.
you'll really enjoy one, I'll fucking hate it, back and forth, whatever.
And I think that the thing with these films is, and maybe a reason why I couldn't get into Teen Witch is because
Mhm,
there's nostalgia attached to these films. Like you said, Hudson Hawk is because I watched it as a kid. I
mhm,
had that nostalgia with it. It's a terrible film. If I watched it without seeing it before now,
mhm.
I would probably be on your boat. Absolutely. The Phantom, the other films we're going to mention, all films I watched as a kid, as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old boy. So,
Yeah, but I didn't have any attack. But I didn't like them as a kid. These films, and I know the four we're gonna pick, and I knew they were rubbish when I was a kid. And it's weird though, because like you said with Teen Witch, I had no a nostalgic attachment to the film, but I had a nostalgic attachment to what it represents, that late
yeah,
80s thing. I don't have any nostalgic attachment to bad mid 90s
this
superhero
this
films.
is going to be
So
so interesting.
I'll
It's
and
not,
I
I
am
mean, I'll tell you, it's not a good run.
it's
It
not
is
it's not a
not
good
a good
run,
run of
but I
films.
bet you it's interesting. Like for all the criticism I'm pointing out now, it's like The Phantom's definitely a bad film. I've not watched this since I watched it in like the mid to late 90s when it was, like you said, it was released in 96. I probably watched it in 96 or 97. I've not seen it since. And it's one of those films, again, look, the bizarre thing with these films is that they've fallen off the radar. You never turn on ITV2 and fucking The Phantom's on.
No, no.
Like, so I haven't seen, when I say I haven't seen The Phantom for near enough like 30 plus years, I've not seen any of it. I've not seen a fucking clip. I ain't seen shit. So I don't have any kind of like fixed, oh, well, that bit was bad. So I'm genuinely looking forward to this because I don't know if this is going to be an absolute dumpster fire or if I'm going to watch it and go, this is oddly charming. And I guess we'll find out next week. But I think it's a great choice. And I'm like I said, despite the fact that we know it's not going to be good, it might yet be fun. But we'll find out next week.
Been talking about these films for a while, and I really couldn't. I put myself on the spot today. I really couldn't think of a film I wanted to do. So I thought, fuck it, we'll just start the season.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
And this is going to actually, we talked about this before. This might lead into another film in terms of how it works out. A really good film, by the way. So
We're gonna
the next 4 films are going to be different levels, different layers of terrible. But at the end, after those 4 films, there's going to be one really good one. So, there is that to look forward to in the future.
We're going to do like a season 1.2, where a season comes off a season.
Yeah,
we got a season of films, and at the end of that, there may be a sub-season.
Yeah, there might be a sub-season of slightly better versions of what you've been listening to for the past 4 weeks. But anyway, this has been 1991's The Addams Family. Please do join us next week for 1996, The Phantom. Absolute madness. Rob, anything to add before we wrap this up?
No, mate, I will wrap this up for us now. Yeah, that's a picture. Fucking no. No.
You're going to let me wrap it up because I always wrap it up.
Please wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up now. Okay, I've been Liam, he's been Rob, and you have been listening to the Here You Goes podcast. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. So nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.